ecosystem is a neural network, and at the center of a neural network should be that everyone is connected. And
Yeah.
right now, in an early nascent ecosystem, we're not neural. It's like very like linear, like
Mm.
connections all flow through to like one person, and they are the point out to a bunch, which means connections happen in series. We need connections happen in parallel, right? Like,
Yeah.
we need to. So I've been testing how to, in plain speak, be like, here's how we as an ecosystem get better. We all become super connectors, and
That's
just like
good.
become the better super connectors so that we all get better connections.
I like that a lot.
And we'll speed up, we'll go faster because we as a startup community need to move as fast as our startups. Like we can't be running linear, yet the companies have to run at exponential. The community, if it does the community work at exponential speed, theoretically it should help our startups also. So
Yeah.
Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got tacos and tech is on smash, for the green, guacamole. Keep accountants counting beans, contador cuentan frijoles. Founders trying to raise some queso. La vida San Diego, school of rappy, rapping fire. Tortillas round jalapenos. In these modern times of craft beer and coffee, my coding yoga posse, fold the body, origami. We be surfing Coronado, eating tacos el gordo. The taco stand in puesto, lucha libre and sombrero. Gotta shout out Tecos, Daniels by the ocean, watch the sunset. La Jolla shores, entrepreneurs trying to get funded. When San Diego Startup Week is popping in the summer, Oceanside to Tijuana, SD be full of hustlers. From couch surfing to penthouses right on the beach. Tech leaders who believe stars are within reach. We interviewing founders who be shooting for the moon. Hashtag SD Techos with your host, Neal Bloom. Come on! Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, hey! Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, hey!
welcome back to San Diego Tech News with the OG bestie guestie, the Social Coyote, Jonah Peake.
What's up, hell yeah? What are you
Welcome
doing this
back
week?
to another week, and a little foreshadowing. We may have, because we knew you were going to be here, we added a new segment to this podcast. So stay tuned to hear the new segment that is live here. But what's up, Jonah? How you doing?
What up, man? Really good. Coming out of pretty fun weekend event week. TechCon was great. San Diego's great as usual. And it's snowing in New Orleans and it's freezing cold in the East Coast. So hey, bad.
Yeah, it's true. I am here at UCSD in Studio 411, which is the Design and Innovation Buildings podcast studio, hidden away, tucked away on the fourth floor of the DIB. So thank you to the Office of Innovation and Commercialization for letting me in and using the space. It's a popular room. There's a few other podcasts that get broadcast here, including Once Upon a Scientist by our potato friend, Nick, Mr. Nick, in that regard. But we got to get you here live in person sometime too, with you and Fred.
Let's do it. I'm stoked on that. What are they? Because I've seen them. They've done a bunch of really neat events that I've shared in the past, like the Office of Innovation. They host a bunch of stuff. What actually is it?
The Office of Innovation and Commercialization, OIC, is really like they kind of run like the startup community at UCSD. So they help connect all the different incubators on campus. There's like 15 different incubators. There's now venture funds also. They help connect that part. They help resources, whether it's non-dilutive funding in that part. And then the biggest piece is they manage the commercialization tech transfer process. So
Big
if
time.
you are, in a lab, professor, doing some fundamental science or some piece, and there's an IP connection to it, they help you go nail down the patents, and then they own a piece of that for commercialization purposes.
It's awesome.
And now there's like funds, there's been a long time funds that spin up that really just look inward at what is a portfolio of tech that a university owns, and let's spin it out into companies. And so they help with that process as well too.
So cool.
And so I'm actually here today. I just spoke on a panel and about just a bunch of VCs, investors talking to a group of entrepreneurs. And so they're doing the whole open house today. So there's every place on campus that does startup is doing open house. You can walk around campus and be like, what does the basement do? And what does Qualcomm Institute do? And they have like pitches and everything. So it's a fun afternoon, and I'm glad to see, like, it's almost like startup week at UCSD day,
It's
kind of
awesome.
thing.
Wow,
So
I'm like FOMOing hard. I missed that one.
come on up next time with the trolley, because the trolley stops right on campus at UCSD. So
Perfect.
we'll get you here next time. But let's jump into the show. We have a lot to go through. You alluded to this past weekend was TechCon SoCal year 3 with a huge crew of people flying in and driving in to town, as well as a bunch of San Diegans. It happened over a Friday and Saturday at SDSU. I ended up organizing 10 panels and spoke on an additional one and moderated one of those 10. And then I kind of created the deep tech track and the fintech track, which was super fun. And so we had some amazing conversations. I learned a ton about fusion and where we are as a fusion lab. And they invited us to like get a group of energy founders to come take a tour of the D3 fusion reactor. So keep an eye out for that if you're in energy.
Amazing.
But what was your takeaway? I saw you there a few times. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it's awesome. I did 2 days. I honestly, I think it's kind of the perfect venue in a weird way, because it's like you are sort of moving around to different spaces, but it's not far. It's not like, you're not moving around town or doing anything like that. But it was actually, I really loved the mix of San Diegans who are doing really really awesome things, but other people are coming from out of town, and it was really interesting because you start to have these really fun conversations where people are like, San Diego's really happening, and we all know this, we're here. But when you start to hear people coming out, from out of town saying, recognizing it, it actually, I don't know, it feels pretty special. And I know we shouldn't necessarily, watermark ourselves on what other people are saying, because we know we're great. But it's cool to see that others are thinking that way and feeling that way, because maybe they're gonna open some offices here, spend more attention on our startups and what we're building, and spend more time here. I mean, it's I thought it was pretty incredible. And, I think Fasal and the team, they put together a pretty great conference. And, so did you with all those panels. I don't know how you juggled it, but yeah, it sounded like it was pretty successful.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of busy. It was, hurting a lot of cats, but it was all for like my favorite people to hear from experts in their own domain. And that is my favorite thing, is to put people on a pedestal so that, a lot more people can hear what's being built and why it's happening here. That's for sure. So it was great. I agree. And I know Fazal and I are going to do a debrief soon. I'm sure he's already working on next year, 2026. Oh my God. Crazy.
I was asking him, I was like, hey, who sends all your emails? He's like, you're looking at him. I was like, he's on it. He's hands on. It's amazing.
He is. He's a hustler. And he has a team all over the world. So he's like up at all times working with his conference team, to build the app and load in headshots and he's a CTO. So he's like wants to build processes ever, which is amazing. And he's relying on slow pokes like me to just be like, well, here's a headshot, and he's like, so it was a fun process. I'm also congrats to him for pulling it off and his whole family who really dove in from high school kids, college kids, like showed up, volunteer, and made the whole thing happen. So
Yeah.
thank you, Faisal and team, for putting
Yeah.
on a great conference. Happy to be part of it. I'm fresh off an event I just put on last night up in LA, in Burbank, actually, called The Future of Healthcare, a Burbank Tech Talk that I helped organize. And it was at a hospital where, and we talked about, where it does the rubber meet the road right now in healthcare. I think the original idea was talk about all the areas of advancement in healthcare. I would say the majority of the conversation was very AI dominated,
Mm.
very much like where is AI being used right now? How are you, as a hospital, setting it up both for internal employees, for patient doctor communication? Like it was very much AI creeping into everything, the good, the bad, the integrity, the policy. So it was a really cool conversation. And in the audience were clinicians, physicians, product managers at tech companies. Like you had the full ecosystem there to listen about every aspect here. Oh, and the workforce too. You had people looking for jobs where they're transferring from media and how are their applicable skills good in healthcare. That was a really cool conversation to hear play out as well too. So I know that conversation is happening globally, but especially in the U.S., where our healthcare system, needs an upgrade, and tech will be one of those areas. I know that, you know, hearing that happen in LA, I know it'll be happening here in San Diego. In fact, I think that is a conversation I hear coming up. Is a future of healthcare in San Diego conversation coming too. So,
Awesome.
and San Diegan Ross Young from Clinical Notes AI made the trek up. So thank you, Ross, for jumping up in the middle of your team offsite. He drove all the way up, and he showed up, and he took the brunt of representing AI to the community. But he's got a lot of interesting customer feedback of who's using it and where it's being helpful and how it's a force
Yep.
multiplier and where it's a crutch as well too. So really fun conversation, and I'll be doing more up there as well, just for connecting the community. We had a lot of LA people come down to San Diego for TechCon, and actually a few San Diegans came up for this conversation too. So always good to link the communities there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. With what ends up being really, really interesting, not something that you probably know well, and maybe from research on this conference or this talk is like you kind of can't put. Well, it's hard to put like a treatment question into ChatGPT, because now you have to deal with HIPAA and this different sort of form of AI. I was talking to Ross a little bit about that, and like there's protections around what you can and can't do. But to your point about connecting. SD in LA. Did you get a chance to connect with Brandon Hoffman when he came down, kind of representing LA tech scene? You guys you might have had a panel together, but he's saying let's like try to find ways to merge the two and kind of just like make this region like a super region. I don't know if that was something you guys talked about, but I've been chatting with him on the side. Pretty cool.
Oh, I love hearing that. I love when we approach each other and work on that
Yeah,
together and say, how do we fill in each other's gaps? I very much appreciate that as opposed to LA just pulling us into venture funding for LA, and it includes all of SoCal.
yeah, yeah,
So I think there absolutely is a lot we can stand to gain from of saying, the Bay Area versus SoCal,
yeah.
and
Right.
and leaning into our whole total resources. I think we're like 25 million people here in SoCal,
It's amazing.
way more capital in LA, capital that has come from, tech and a lot of areas that we are building that we haven't done the full recycle yet, and
Yeah.
so I think we can learn a lot. I feel like whenever I go into LA, a tech event there, I feel like I'm kind of going into the future. It's like, oh, this is what
Hmm.
we could be like 5 years, 8 years from now. And so I feel like, oh, just a few short-hour drive, 3 hour, 4 hour. I could steal ideas that's working from a community ecosystem perspective and try it out in San Diego. And
It's awesome.
vice versa, I think LA is also looking for like what are areas that are like not saturated too, right? Like there's a lot in LA where because there's so much capital, there's a lot of like money getting thrown into like the same area. Like right now,
Mm.
everyone is suddenly into hard tech and hardware and deep tech and space. And it's like, okay, at some point people are going to have to find other areas to fund, and I think you can look to other ecosystems for density and be like, oh, this is where there are some other quality founders doing quality things too. So I agree. I think we could all
So cool.
gain from that as well.
Well, we're saying, hey, let's maybe San Clemente. Where's that middle ground that we could all, meet up with? It's
Uh,
really, you know,
it's a good question. I think like Irvine might be it, to be honest.
they said that. I was like, where can we go that's like sexy and beachy and like kind of fun?
Irvine's not sexy. Newport's sexy. Uh,
Maybe
so
that's a
Newport
spot.
Beach is pretty much right in line with Irvine. From where I am in North County, like Encinitas area, it's actually time wise, if you time it right, it takes me just as long to get to downtown San Diego as Irvine. Uh,
Wow.
so I am
Okay.
equidistant to the both, which is
Good.
funny. 45-ish plus minutes to both of them. So yeah, let's work on it. Let's do a little joint event. One thing we tried pre-COVID during Startup Week was doing a train from LA of tech people to come down to Startup Week, and we would do a bunch of events on the train. We never really nailed it and landed it. We were gonna work with Digital LA founder Kevin Winston to do that. But we did end up doing a North County to downtown train on Startup Week once. We did an event in Carlsbad in the morning. Then a bunch of us jumped on the train, and the 30-ish minutes on the train, we did like networking and that kind of stuff, which was kind of
Dude, I
fun.
love that. I love that because it's like, what is the thing you've never done? That I want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trade
So
networking.
let's try it. Let's just throw out ideas. Just start it. We just got to put a date on, make it happen. Related to, I'll do one more quick debrief before we jump in some news. I know an event that just happened was the post-exited founder social. This is a massive group online and in Discord of post-exited founders, exactly what it sounds like.
Amazing.
And there's a group of San Diegans now, enough density where we formed kind of the post-exited founder San Diego group. You can imagine there's a lot of overlap with Interlock there because Interlock is a group of kind of serial founders, exited founders helping other companies. And so they did their first social this week. Proud of Hussein and Pete DeSalvo of organizing event one because honestly, starting is the hardest thing. And
Totally.
once you start, then a little more momentum comes from that. So keep eye out for that. Let us know if you want to get connected to the
Yeah.
post-exited founder San Diego group. But we got some other news here. You want to dive into some fundings here, Jonah?
Yeah, let's do it. It seems to be happening quickly. Like you said, there's a trend for this in the beginning of the year, but it looks like top of the list. We'll start. AskTuring Seed 1 million. What do you know about them?
AskTuring. Well, we happen to know the team pretty well. And Neal Centuria, Barbara Bree, and Cheryl Goodman coming together to form this cool team of complementary skill sets. Cheryl, longtime corporate communications expert, like really like was the face of Qualcomm and Sony here in town, and really now is I feel like has become the public face of AI in San Diego. I mean, she's curated some amazing thought leadership, put out a book on AI for everyone, doing talks around the world, I think including somewhere in Asia. Was she in Turkmenistan or
Something like that. Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan? Yeah,
I
talking
think I
AI out
saw.
there.
That's
So it
amazing.
kind of makes sense to partner in with Neal Centuria, who is a serial builder and investor. He's built a ton of companies, kind of like been a co-founding investor at a bunch of startups here in
It's awesome.
town, in hardware and in software. And he's zany and wacky. And we love his funky personality and
Great
his
hats.
column he writes every week in the San Diego Tribune. And Barbara, his spouse, who's got some of the deepest roots of a startup tech ecosystem here in town. It, from the early days of Connect, I think she was also a writer at some point.
Pro
Uh,
Flowers, I think, came
Total
in somewhere in there.
Flowers. Yeah, like deep roots in serial building as well too. So it's very cool to see them all coming together. Tell us about what they're building. Do you know much about Ask Turing, the product itself?
So it looks like they're building, tailored AI solutions for specific industries. Um, they have a few patents, and I actually I'm looking a little bit look deeper. So prioritizing things like data privacy and security. It says with cutting edge measures, not a huge. I don't really know what that means all that much, but I like that we're building a lot more AI tools in San Diego. It sounds like it's data security, compliance, integrity, those types of things. I think the things that get really challenging when you kind of talk about just throwing things into ChatGPT and having all these answers come back. It probably actually is really relevant to the panel you had the other night or last night with with MedTech and those types of details. But yeah, it's interesting. I was chatting with you earlier. For a while in 2019, Barbara Brewed was my nemesis, not directly, but she was on city council for Pacific Beach, and so she was fairly anti-scooter, and I was obviously pro-scooter, and it was this really interesting kind of back and forth trying to understand how do you let an industry come into a city and sort of help you on the one hand by like helping you meet your green targets and not sort of cover the city in scooters. And so at TechCon, I flagged her down and said, hey, Barbara, I got to say what's up. You probably don't remember me, but I just wanted to say, hey, thanks for that fantastic experience. We're friends now. And it was a pretty cool interaction. But she said, we're coming at it from a business angle, and we just want to understand how can we let something come into our city that's actually effective and beneficial. It was a really, really amazing conversation. I thought it was such a funny thing. I've been wanting to do that for a long time.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that story. That's so cool. I have just a week or two ago requested a demo, so I'm gonna try it out. We'll report back, and
Please.
I'm sure that's the best that a startup needs right now. Not just funding, but feedback for its user base to find its real footing there. Another startup, and by the way, you mentioned this a little bit, like a lot of fundings this week, but also these are announcements. I'm not saying when the fundings came out.
That's
Probably
fair.
maybe some happened in December during the holidays. I see a lot of post-holiday funding announcements because, you close the deal, which takes a lot of work, and then you have to go tell people you closed the deal, right? And so now people are getting around to doing the PR part of the deal closing. We had a deal last week we talked about, or 2 weeks ago. They closed their funding around last May, and they just started
Oh my
talking
goodness.
about it like a few weeks ago. So anyway, do both. Raise the capital and then tell people to raise the capital and then get back to work.
Yeah, but you're like, oh, hey, you're celebrating your holiday in December. Guys, listen, we raised this money. It's like, no, you should wait till
Yeah.
January.
Well, another seed round from Deep Vector raised a 1.5 million seed funding. This is an insurtech company, which won't be the only insurtech that we talk about right now during these fundings area. They're an AI platform, of course. They're software, so they're AI based platform for analyzing insurance underwriting documents. And so it was co-led by Philly-based Aperture Venture Capital, and as well as InsurTech New York, which is kind of cool to see very specific strategic capital investing in this areas. So kudos to Scott Knowles and the team there at Deep Vector. I'm sure Fred will have a deeper scoop here as well as he does. And let's dive into another one here. Another InsurTech funding news. Xilo, our friend John Corin, who has been hustling on this company. Love to see it raised a solid 7.2 million Series A. What do you know about Xilo and John here?
I mean, John does hustle. He's one of those people that texts you back at 4 a.m. if you're ever up, doing the early hours. So that's always impressive. But he's basically building tech for insurance agencies, carriers, and managing general agents. So which is really cool. So he's kind of trying to modernize the sales and marketing process to help these organizations stay competitive. So you can kind of imagine there's the big insurance companies, but you can actually I'm pretty sure you can start your own insurance company, a smaller version. And so, he's building some tools to help them kind of, I guess, be competitive. And it sounds like they've done some really cool stuff, 300 global clients, and they're integrating with 30 plus platforms to really streamline the process. But sounds like they've been at this for a little while, and he's just, like you said, he's just keep hustling, keep pushing forward. And I mean, I guess you could say probably there's some AI in here too, but it doesn't look like they're leading with that necessarily.
No, yeah, and the team, North County based, Carlsbad. I believe they're in downtown works Carlsbad. I
It's
know
awesome.
he works there around the clock. I also have gotten the late nights, early mornings. I've seen him come to events late and then be like, I'm going back to the office, like uh, uh, not necessarily like extraordinary. It's just like the founder way, to just like go and build and to do what you got to do to build a good company. And he's working at it. So yeah, another insurtech here. who I believe Plug and Play is involved with at prior rounds, which has a big insurtech focus as well. And Alex Tran, who is a San Diego-based Plug and Play investor, I believe is involved here as well too. So good to see some densifying, clustering, if you will, around insurtech, which is within the fintech bundle.
Very
Another
cool.
area I've been tracking density is battery tech. I've seen a lot of battery tech in San Diego, some that are spinouts out of UCSD, including this latest round by Sonocharge Energy, which just raised a $23.5 million round. I believe they're a UCSD spinout, like a few others that I've seen, like South 8. Um, Sonocharge is funded by Coastla Ventures, as well as a number of other very like battery specific ones. But they also have Honda Accelerator Ventures and Temasek, which is a Singapore-based investment fund, and Cycle Capital. So they are building, I think it's a hardware play. It's a piezoacoustic platform technology that makes the world's batteries last 2 to 5 times longer, charge 2 times faster, and safer. So better batteries for better futures.
Wow.
Out Sonocharge. Glad I can be their pitchman.
I know. I'm looking at their site. I'm like, I need a little more time. This is awesome. I love the graphics and the way they laid it out. That's pretty cool. Well, congrats to them. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see. Funny story about battery tech. Just before this, I said I was on a panel at UCSD. Right after the panel, the first person to come up to me, someone I recognized who was my TA and one of my classes at UCSD in undergrad, and she
So
kept
cool.
like, "I'm starting a startup. I want your advice." I'm like, "This is so cool," because I used to come to your office hours. Man, it was the class that she did that I was in. I was not good at. I told her that. She's like, "Oh no, no one really was good at that class. That was a hard one in engineering." But she's, now starting a new battery tech company. So anyway, I'm not gonna give away too much, but just love the stories that happen when you show up
That's
in person.
amazing. Hey, yeah, tell us about Netradyne.
All right, last one here. Yes, a Series D, big D funding for Netradyne, raised a $90 million Series D round, led by Point72 Capital, which is like a huge hedge fund. Steve Cohen, owner of the Mets, and I think the inspiration for the show Billions, made a late stage investment here in Netradyne that they led. And Netradyne is a fleet management logistics tech platform. They have a series of camera for fleet management. I think it's like out of cab, in of cab, as well as tracking fleet and how it's doing
Yeah.
traffic safety, like the whole stack there. So hardware and software play here for Netradyne. And they're not the only one in San Diego, like working in kind of fleet management in that area as well too.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is cool.
who else participated in this round was Qualcomm Ventures and Pavilion Capital. So that is pretty cool to see. They've got over 3,000 customers, 450,000 active subscribers
Wow.
of their management platform here too. So we'll link to the coverage there in the show notes as well.
Yeah, you got to check out this picture when you check out the link in the show notes. It's really interesting because it looks like it's giving the driver kind of like live updates on how to think about driving your car. It says this one just like, please leave additional space. It's got the car ahead of them marked out, and they're kind of doing some sort of distance to stopping, it looks like, which is kind of interesting because you got to imagine, some of these details are really important when you're doing a lot of driving. I mean, it's just about like with the odds of things happening the more time you're on the road. But when you add this extra little bit of data, so it's funny, meme the other day was like, which one of these trucks is not in oil and gas? And it was 8 trucks in a line, and 7 of the 8 were backed into their space so they could leave, and 1 was nose in. And so they're just like, you got to just prepare for, they're preparing to leave the job site after or whatever. But it was about, safety and kind of thinking about, lowering the chances and instances of interaction, a crash or whatever. It seems like that's kind of what we're seeing here. It's pretty sweet. And they do have a few jobs in SD that are available. So just kind of wanted to flag that. If that's interesting, if this is cool tech, you got some experience here, check them out.
Make sure you check out the Career Coyote newsletter to see the latest jobs like that. Jonah is doing the work for you, the job seeker, and the company. who's looking to fill. You imagine you raise a $90 million round, there's gonna be a lot more jobs coming in San Diego as well too, because that goes to scaling, which is people. We wanted to highlight two interesting deals of 2024, the biggest individual deal of a company and the local fund that raised the most as well too. So we're gonna tap out here, just kind of look back on 2024 real quick. We got this, Fred's like the de facto of the fundraising here. So go and do the deeper dive on Fred's newsletter, also linked in the show notes. But what do you think, Jonah? I know you know the answer here, but of a community that is deep in life sciences, deep in hardware and tech, deep tech, and deep in tech for VC fundings, like who do you think got the biggest one single check for their fundraise last year?
It's really funny that you say this because if you look at, we got the list, so okay, I should close my eyes to guess, but every single other one looks like it's a biotech company, but this one is a company that deals with going outside and getting active.
Yeah. Pretty much sells San Diego worldwide on our pants, on our shirts. Like the San Diego lifestyle is what they have monetized, and that is Vuori.
Yup.
I'm looking around if I'm wearing any article of Vuori. Not right now, but I've got some. Got some pants at home for sure.
Now, my brother showed up from San Francisco, or was it Oakland? I forget. He came in and he's just like, "Hey, look at these cool shorts." I'm like, "Those are guys. This is wearing Vuori shirts and pants." So
Yeah,
funny.
Vuori raised nearly a $900 million round
Wow.
at a $5.5 billion valuation. These are like tech deal kind of numbers that they're
Totally.
raising at and being valued at, and it's because they're doing, amazing things as a company. So, shout out to North County-based Vuori for winning the top largest deal of 2024. What do you think? Who got the largest funding, like a new round of capital? Or sorry, this is a VC fund that raised their new fund of capital. And we don't talk about a lot of like VCs raising funds in San Diego. There aren't that many, but in fact, two are tied for the most capital raise for their new funds.
I didn't see this. This is cool. No, tell us what are these two? Because I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, Fred got the scoop on one of these. Neos Partners raised a $1.2 billion fund. This is fund two, I believe, for them. I'm pulling up the notes here. This is an article from Fred's
Wow.
stack. And a $1.37 billion clean energy and data center investment fund. So Neos Partners, like quiet. I would say they're quiet. I don't run into them here in town, but they raise a new group of funding from U.S. endowments, including University of Pennsylvania, Stanford University, and Yale University. These are like some of the largest pension endowment funds in the university space. They have funded, as well as a bunch of family offices, foundations, and other investment managers. So big fund and a lot of new capital. So if you are building tech around this clean energy, data centers, and infrastructure, go get the capital here from a company, the fund that's in town. And in fact, the one that tied it is also in infrastructure and focus on data center energy infrastructure as well. And that is StepStone. They raised a new fund, also about 1.4 billion, that is focused on infrastructure, and it has a very much like a tech focus to the infrastructure fund. StepStone has a bunch of funds, by the way, and they invest about $15 billion a year. It's also San Diego fund that no one knows about, that they're La Jolla base. They're also known as a fund of funds, so they fund other funds.
Wow.
So anyway, good to know that there's nearly 2.8 billion of fresh new capital to invest in San Diego based funds, and they're all clean energy infrastructure related. So,
God, I mean, it's got to be massive. It's so funny because it's like looking at some of the at least Neos. Every single one of these top three, I'm looking at. Empowering the future, and it's a picture of power lines, and it's like these are the things we definitely don't think about, but are massively important to this energy grid. And then AI comes online and just starts sucking power into data centers, like you were mentioning. These deals are important. Wow, safe, quality, productive construction services for the electric utility industry. That was one of their major investments too. I mean, gosh, this can't be small, right? I mean, you're not putting a small check into a company that's doing construction for utility companies. Anyways, that's pretty fantastic.
It is. I'm gonna nix out our last story here just for time,
Cool.
uh,
So,
because I want to get to our newest segment of the program, which is Howlin' Jobs by Career Coyote,
oh, yeah, that's
Social
awesome.
Coyote himself. I forced this on you because you put a second newsletter out there. Tell us about the genesis of Career Coyote and how's it going so far?
Sweet. So I was seeing similarly with the event space. I was just seeing lots of things everywhere. So all of these companies, a lot of these San Diego tech companies are posting their events. I think they get lost in LinkedIn, or their jobs lost in LinkedIn. And so I was kind of just saying, well, if I start to go to their career pages, wouldn't they have, wouldn't that be a natural place to find some of these? And so I just wanted to make sure that they could elevate. I wanted to start putting this stuff out here so people start sending me jobs. I want startups to be able to kind of compete for good talent, because it's expensive to promote jobs, and it's also I want people to be able to find work. So basically, went through as many career pages as I could find. There's plenty more to go through, but I found 33 companies that had at least one job located here in San Diego, and I thought it was just interesting. Like, let's just throw this out there and kind of see what happens. And it went pretty crazy on LinkedIn, actually. But there's some fun data points. If you look at what people are clicking on, at least from the newsletter side, because the LinkedIn side's a little harder to see. A couple of the job career pages, you'd imagine, Shield has the most jobs. They've, are hiring a ton. But what's interesting about them is almost all of them are in San Diego, which is incredibly cool. ClickUp has jobs all over. They do have one in San Diego, so people were kind of checking them out. Went directly to their career page. Snap actually has a few, which is cool, but they're listing it in San Diego and LA, which is interesting. And then, as you kind of continue down, actually Xilo got a couple eyeballs. But the thing that actually was really, really fun, there's two things, but one, Epic Gardening. People knew that. They were like, I know what that is, because I linked it twice. I said, what's the company? So if you want to learn more about the company, and let me go straight to the jobs page. People are clicking straight on the jobs. They know what Epic Gardening is, probably because of Fred, and because it's epic and cool. And yeah, so people are trying to get work there. So I don't know. I think elevating companies, tech companies, and startups or companies that have tech jobs are really interesting, because I still threw in the Wave had a couple of analytics jobs for health of their athletes, and I think that kind of fits as a tech job. But I think the last thing I was going to call out is just I love Comma AI. I don't know. I just love them. The second largest autonomous driving vehicle fleet, second to Tesla, and I think they're growing at such a rate that they might pass them. Not a predicting person here, but I did like that every one of their jobs comes with a bit of a challenge, where it's not just sort of submit a resume. It's come in on here and do some homework a little bit. Show that you can do something. It's kind of awesome. I'm a huge fan. So anyways, that's kind of what we're seeing. I'll keep throwing these out there, but send me jobs if your company's hiring, if you're looking to fill roles. Ross actually from the panel last night has a couple full stack jobs open. So if you're full stack, go hit him up. And just let's keep helping San Diego companies. That's kind of the real genesis here.
For sure. We are trying to better connect all the aspects here so that we continue to help our companies be great, which will in turn make the community great. And so it all, all helps each other. The links are in the show notes. You can go to subscribe to Career Coyote and the Social Coyote, which we're going to highlight a few events coming up over the next few weeks. Carlsbad Life in Action, Tech, and Sports and Active Lifestyle, kind of doing a joint gathering. Usually curate for a few different groups, but Fashion File is offering to host and really hits the mark on kind of sports and active lifestyle, luxury brands, anyone building that space, as well as the tech side. So together with the City of Carlsbad's Life in Action group, February 4th, we're putting together a kind of a private group of people. So hit me up if you want to come in the North County area to go see the Fashion File space.
That's awesome.
Also a North County SD Startup Mixer. This is Hussein's bread and butter event. Finally went to my first one in December. and it's so good. I mean, it really is like a really great event. It's held the same spot. It's every month in Leucadia at the Leucadian. And honestly, it's so compelling of an event that Hussein built a whole event platform to compete with Luma around it. So go
Awesome.
find on startupbeach.com. You can go find this event and other events that are coming up as well too. We always put them in the Social Coyote as well. You got one last one you want to highlight here?
Yeah, I just want to call out the cyber group, San Diego cyber group. David, actually been chatting with David Spark at Hussein's meetup, but he's cool. They're getting really deep into the cybersecurity world. There's obviously really kind of a lot going on in cybersecurity in San Diego, but this is getting hugely popular. It's like 123 people have said that they're going to attend. And one thing that's kind of cool, I like he kind of does, what you guys do at the founders hike is kind of saying, hey, who's hiring, go find them, and who's looking for work, go find them. But it's a very specific group to, cybersecurity experts. And I just want to call them out because he's always been a good friend. And the Xilo Series podcast is kind of what was one of the things that was the antithesis to this. And he moved out here to San Diego somewhere recently, so kind of getting ingrained in our wonderful city.
Oh, I love to hear that. A cool backstory. And we'll make sure we send more people that way, as well as make sure that the San Diego Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, Lisa Easterly and crew, come make sure they are aware of each other and helping each other out there as well too.
Love that.
So like we said, follow both me, Jonah, and Fred's newsletters. They're linked in the show notes so that we can continue to learn what you are looking for as a listener and continue to share. And we all can continue to share with all of our own little ecosystems and bubbles, because then we will speed up this ecosystem, which we know we all will stand to benefit from. So thank you all for tuning in. Jonah, it's great to have you here. We're looking forward to Fred coming back, and maybe you all will be hearing the three of us next week, which should be fun as well too.
Hell yeah.
Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got tacos and tech is on smash for the green guacamole. Keep accountants counting beans, contador cuentan frijoles. Founders trying to raise some queso. La vida San Diego, school of rapping fire. Tortillas round jalapenos. In these modern times of craft beer and coffee, my coding yoga posse, fold the body, origami. We be surfing Coronado, eating tacos el gordo. The tacos stand in puesto, lucha libre and sombrero. Gotta shout out Tecos, Daniels by the ocean, watch the sunset. La Jolla shores, entrepreneurs trying to get funded. When San Diego Startup Week is popping in the summer, Oceanside to Tijuana, SD be full of hustlers. From couch surfing to penthouses right on the beach. Tech leaders who believe stars are within reach. We interviewing founders who be shooting for the moon. Hashtag SD Tecos with your host, Neal Bloom. Come on! Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, eh? Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos.